Could have been Frank Rothwell.
Yeah.
This is big. This is very big. 5 seconds. That's a better clean.
Yeah, strong clean. Gets readjusted. Oh, that was so much stronger.
That is incredible. What a lift.
Fantastic.
And look at the
comeback.
coaches. They are so thrilled. She's happy.
That solidifies her as one of the best Irish lifters
Weightlifters
ever, yeah.
She can't believe it. I think she just said to them, did I get a medal? I don't think she...
So, Thammy,
Yes.
let's jump straight in.
Yes.
When you clean and jerk 98 kilos
Yes.
and it's a successful lift
Yes.
and you drop it to the floor,
Yes.
what's the first thing in your mind?
Right, let's bring back to that moment. Oh my God, I have never even thought of that. And actually how I felt. I always knew I had the clean and jerk. I knew going into that competition that I was going to medal. Regardless on what the outcome is, I was going in for a medal, but nobody knew except for myself and my coach. So to me, I have visualized that over and over and over and over. So to me, doing that lift, I'm like, oh, I just did it.
Yeah.
But the second, obviously you guys watched, the second lift I did was the 98 clean and jerk. And that was a slight bit elbow rebend. I didn't know what was going on. They never told me what weight was on the bar. I said, don't tell me. And I didn't know what weight was on. I thought it was 97. I didn't know I was going out for a medal. They never told me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What were your PBs at the time?
I don't really want to.
You don't want to say, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't want to say because my numbers are pretty close to where the Olympics is.
Okay.
And I was just kind of giving my numbers away. I'm sorry. Is that okay? Sorry about that.
No, 100%.
I don't want to give secrets away for now, but maybe afterwards I can give you like a full on. But the numbers that I did at Europeans, I do that in train on a regular basis. So I knew I was coming in for a medal.
Nice.
But when I dropped that weight, I was like, I did that. Okay. And then, you know, the always bubbly, giddy side of me, I jumped. That's just me expressing joy. I'm always giddy. I'm funny. And then it really hit then because I didn't know I was going out for the medal.
Okay.
They never told me.
Oh, no.
No, they never told me.
Is it literally as you're turning back around to walk back in and you see it's
Yes.
98?
Yes, I heard Mark screaming, going, yes, yes. And everyone's screaming. I'm like, oh, shit. I just medals.
Who was in the back room with you?
It was Coach Beata and Harry. Harry has been behind the scene for a long, long time, so he got very emotional. When I seen him like crying, being hysteric, his hands up, I said, right, so we just medalled. But I knew I was going into medal, but I wasn't really sure if that secured the medal or not. And then when he was like screaming, I was like, did I actually medal? And then it hit me then, and I just start bursting out crying.
That is unbelievable.
Oh, I'm getting emotional now.
So that's Ireland's first senior
Yes.
medal in weightlifting at an international competition. So
Yes. Female as well. Yeah.
yeah, but it's the first of either sex so no one else has a senior medal. Clarence had the European Juniors, and before that, nothing of significance. And that Europeans was the first Olympic qualification event for this
Yes.
training, so
Yes.
this Olympic cycle. So
Yes.
that's massively competitive.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes. We knew, I was told a year in advance that you're going into medal. My coach has told me a year in advance. I didn't really believe, but I've been told every single day in training you're going into medal, and I just believed it then, and we just got the work done.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thammy, you're talking about, so every day when you're in training, you said you'd visualised it hundreds of times, right?
Yes.
And as like a sports psych person,
Yeah.
for me, that's like straight away. What's it look like when you're visualising it?
Oh, see, I have a really good sports psychologist. So we do, and I see him once a week.
Okay.
So we do that technique all the time. And the thing is that I failed it so many times in my head. and then I started to get it, and then I visualize it. So it's like literally a learning path. And then once I did in my head, I can do it on the bar.
So were you seeing failed reps in your head? You weren't always
Yes,
nailing it?
absolutely. Like training today, obviously, with good reps comes with failure. You have to fail to know what you have done wrong in, and then you make the lift, like today,
Yeah.
prime example. So yeah, of course, absolutely, I have visualised that, and it kind of gains confidence for me. Don't have confidence at the start, but it takes time for you to, you know, practice and learn, visualise then, and then I get the lift.
One really interesting thing from training today was, as you were warming up with the power cleans and the push press, I asked at one point, I think you were around 73 kilos. I asked at one point, I said, how does it feel? And you just said, I don't think about how it feels until I get to the working sets. Is that kind of mindset of like that steely mindset, the really kind of straight line laser focus, have you always had that, or is that something you worked on?
No. Coach has drilled that into me, especially because I'm a girl, female, hormones, emotions, high, up, down, everything like that. I did used to struggle with that a lot before I'd come into training, and I'm emotionally drained, obviously because I'm a mum there as well. And coming in, I'm just tired, and I'm like, oh, coach, I don't really feel good. So obviously he says in the nicest possible way, he's not like very blunt. He's like, no, shut the fuck up. He's not like that. He says, look, just do what you can. But then he actually really sat me down one day and says, before you touch the bar or get onto the weight, I used to always complain before, like, oh, I'm not really feeling this and that. Then I do really, really well. So he said, like, maybe just stop with that attitude. If you feel good, keep going, say nothing. But the sets that matters the most is the ones that at the end. So you can do warm up really, really good, but then you might not make the lift. But you can warm up really, really bad, then make the lift. So to me, warming up doesn't really matter. If it feels good, feels great, I'll take up on it. But that warm up set just never gets to me personally. Yeah.
You bring up one of the major aspects, or one of the kind of major things with your success is you're obviously a mother of 2 kids.
Yes.
What's the daily life like, looking after kids, making sure they're getting looked after, and then going training like a professional athlete?
Because you have what, 2 and a 4-year-old approximately.
Yes.
So this is this year when you won the senior medal, just to be clear. So you're deep into it with 2 kids.
Yes. Oh gosh, I'm in the middle of it now, so I don't really know what I'm feeling. I feel a bit numb with everything right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough. It's very hard, and I haven't spoken about this. This is me emotionally, because especially coming to my kids, it's very tough. I just want to make my kids proud and my husband proud. So I don't want to start a dream and then my kids, sorry, I'm just getting,
No.
I'm just seeing that. So, I don't want to start a dream and show them what I have started and then come into the middle of it and saying, oh, mommy's tired today, she doesn't want to go training. That's no example I want to set for my kids. And me at the moment now juggling, it's so hard. I'm sometimes mentally fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally fatigued in not only being a mum, mentally fatigued in owning business and hiccups happening. And then that leads to then being tired going into training. And obviously that leads to then, remember we were talking about the warm up. So obviously I have to block all that out. But yeah, it's tough. I'm not any other ordinary athlete out there, as you can tell. They come home, they rest, probably put an ice pack on, watch a movie, chill, maybe go to work a slight little bit. You get to chill, whatever you want, shower. No, the minute I come home, make sure, did the kids eat today? What time to get home at? Was school okay? What time are you going to shower at? What do you want to eat for dinner? Make my dinner and then shower them, feed them, put them to bed. and then I get me time, and then I get rest. So you can imagine it's like another job after a job and then after a job.
Is Mark, your husband, is he a good support system as part of that?
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't be here today without my husband. Like, I don't even know what to say.
What's he help you with? What's kind of, when do you notice it the most?
He is my therapist. He runs CrossFit. So basically, we started off opening, obviously, CrossFit Baldoyle here. And he was always into fitness, and then he sold his gym then and moved then into a therapist. And it was so strange, and I'm going to talk about, you know, the universe. I don't know if you believe in all this shit crap, but I fucking do.
Tara definitely doesn't.
Do you not? I want to convince you today.
I'm all ears.
Sorry?
I'm all ears.
He never judged.
Oh, really?
No.
But yeah, just how coincident that he started doing all the courses as I turn around and I says that I want to go back and try and qualify for the Olympics. And now I was literally his guinea pig for everything. But we have learned so much so fast because I'm getting niggles here, there and there. So he's my rock, honestly. Only myself and him knows the real behind the scene work. Only he knows when I come home from training, I'm mentally fatigued. Sometimes like I start crying and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And he's like, just keep going. Like he sees the real behind the emotions, the stress that comes out of me. So like explaining all this at the moment now is, I'm in the process, so I can't really explain it. But without him, I would not be where I am today. Yeah.
You know, just on Mark's case there, it's very uncommon or unusual for I suppose in most scenarios, it's very rare that the male athlete or the male is behind the scenes and being super supportive, you know, because a lot of men just kind of wouldn't be able to, or kind of rationalise that a little bit. A lot of times egos would get in the way.
Yes.
You know, to be seen as almost emasculating that
Yes.
he's so supportive of you.
Yes.
Being a female athlete, pushing yourself for that, you know, it takes a lot.
I totally understand that, but I have given Mark his time and now I demand my time back. It's weird. He was like into high CrossFit as well. And when he went to compete in like away, I always supported him, and no matter what he did, what he wanted.
Yeah.
I always says you should go for it. Absolutely, go for it. And then we went, and he went to competitions, and I went supported him. Obviously, because when we first met, I stopped weightlifting. Obviously, I had 2 kids, got married, and he was still kind of doing training. I would never stop that. Mm-hmm. So when I turned around to him and I says I want to come back, he kind of knew that, right, my time is done. And to be honest, he's 12 years older than me, so he can't be born.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like, he looks like a 20-year, but like age will come to you as well.
To be fair, he's
Yes.
Insane. Yeah, he's great now. He is in.
You need to put a photo of him and right.
His back is like Lou Zhao's.
It's insane. He was doing a Hydrox workout earlier.
Yeah.
And I just walked behind him as he was doing like box jumps or box step ups. And I was like, what in the name of God? Yeah. It's built like a brick shithouse and shredded.
Yes. He looks after his body a lot. His nutrition is A1.
Yes.
Like, he's like that 24/7. Mark really looks after himself as like, because he knows whatever's not good for his body, he won't put into it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so he really looks after it. Yeah.
Thammy,
Yeah.
this is along the same lines now, right? But
Yes.
a lot of the time, like we're in CrossFit gyms constantly and you'll see a lot of couples that kind of train together.
Yeah.
And it's funny, there's always this kind of dynamic of like, oh, I can't be the person to tell him that, or I can't be the person to tell her that if there's like something going wrong or they need a coaching cue.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people like that if they're like maybe training with their partner as to how to keep that dynamic sweet, you know?
Oh, dynamic sweet.
Or maybe there is no solution to
We
that.
don't seem to interact, to be honest.
No.
Yeah.
Like Mark's trained for High Rocks. I'm trained for Olympic weightlifting. I do listen to Mark in the sense that he's my therapist. We know when to switch. And if there's something wrong with me in training, I'm so focused in training and I have a coach. I personally don't believe my husband should be my coach. Yeah, helping in the background, knowing behind the scene work, all that, I totally get it. But emotion, personal, and like family gets in the way, you don't listen to them. So I can't really give somebody advice on that. To me, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I got coached. But we don't interact in training. He knows when I'm coming into training, I'm training, and if there was any moral support, he would come over to me. If I needed anything wrong with my body, he sees there's anything wrong. This is a therapist coming over to me. I don't look at him as my husband when I'm in training.
To be honest, that's the best piece of advice you could give someone.
I think so.
This is like, you're literally living this life of trying to make it to the Olympics. You're competing internationally constantly.
Yes.
If that's the advice you give, that's the best.
Is it? To me, I was like, I don't really know what advice to give somebody for that. But knowing when to draw the line. Obviously, there was a point that when this all was starting, and he'd be trying to tell me what to do with this exit. I'd be like, this. What? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I wouldn't do the exercise. And he's like, did you do the exercise I gave you? I said, no. And he actually sat me down and he says, if you want to do this properly, and you're not even paying me for this, and as if you want to do this properly, you have to listen to me like a therapist. Like, I'm your actual rehab specialist. I'm your nutritionist and thing, because I'm serious about this. So then when he really sat me down and he says, take me as obviously like your therapist, then I look at him as a therapist point. But then obviously when we're at home, he's my husband. So it's a change then. You get me?
So I think that probably brings up a good point as well, is that you not only are you a mother of two and you're kind of coach, your coach is a kind of acquired by yourself, but you don't actually, up until recently, didn't get any funding or very, very little funding from Weightlifting Ireland or the Olympic Council.
Yes, I was all self-funded, and this, to me, I have not spoken about this. And I said when time is right, I feel like this moment is right now. So I want to openly speak about it. I had doubts, a lot of doubts, answering, like questioning myself, why in the fucking God did I turn around on this? I invested a lot of money, number one, and a lot of time. So I pay my coach a full-time wage, and I still do. For you to move to America and start a new life for 2-3 years, you know the cost that's going to have to come into it. So I pay him a full-time wage. I pay for his accommodation, and I pay for any international fees every time we go. To the likes of a taxi and an airplane. I am a federation for a coach.
Which is an enormous amount of money for an athlete.
Yes. Yes.
Incomprehensible for most weightlifters to think about doing.
Yes.
I think as well, with the frequency of international competitions, that's a budget that most amateur rugby clubs or GA clubs, you're talking about, it's a similar level of budget as you for one individual athlete.
Yeah. Give you a prime example of going to Colombia cost me nearly 10 grand for one competition.
Oh God.
For everyone.
For me, coach and Mark, and I did fucking shit.
Oh my God.
I cried my eyes out in the hotel.
Yeah.
And Mark's like, it's okay. And I says, Mark, I'm after wasting so much money. And he's like, it's fine, don't stress about it. I'm like, I did this, this is my reason why. And that's only one little part of one competition. So you can imagine outside of that.
Yeah.
And me not going into work cost me a lot of money as well.
And on top of that, of course, you and Mark have time away from your kids as well, which is...
And time from the kids as well. So during all, and especially after Colombia, it really hurt me because I internally did that. Like, I competed bad. I had nobody to blame other than me. You know, I wasn't confident coming out. Had a fucking clue what I was doing. My adrenaline was going up, down, and I thought that it was. Remember, they were saying about
The altitude.
the altitude.
Yeah.
But I have never felt that dump. I was like, Mark was behind the scene, and I turned around to Mark and I said, like, slap me in the face or something. What the fuck's wrong with me? I'm like, slap me, quick. And to try to wake up.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. So just after the first slash, basically, I lost confidence, and then that was it. Everything was a blur. But I had nobody to blame. Your coach isn't going to lift the bar for you. You're not going to lift the bar for Dara. It's you that lift the bar for yourself. So whatever happens on the fucking competition floor, that's your fault. And you have to own up to it. And that hurt me a lot after Colombia. And that's only one competition.
Do you think that owning that kind of failure helped you deal with it and kind of come back in training?
Yeah. Of course, you know, obviously after failure always comes it hurts. You learn from it, you move on, and then it depends on if you really want to express that failure and make sure that will never happen again. Like, to me, what happened at Colombia was the fucking best thing that would happen to me, because that will never fucking happen again.
Yeah.
You coming out to that stage like that. So that's why next time going towards my next competition, I am like, if you watch back from my first competition compared to that one, I'm like a totally completely different person, because I owned that stage walking out in Armenia, and I knew I was coming into medal. So that's how maybe I'm a bit more aggressive mentally from that failure before. Yeah.
I think that's exactly what happened to me after European Juniors. Had a terrible competition, and then I was like, that can never ever happen again.
Yeah.
You're just like, that's not something.
That's a pure champion's mentality right there. So you can differentiate from an athlete. You can see by their results. It happens obviously in waves, up, down like this. You peak, your next competition always goes to shit. If you look at any results, it's always kind of the same. But if you go really bad and if you don't climb up, then there's got to do with something mentally wrong with you. Then if you don't really believe you can achieve to the next level, then
I think it's funny, like you look at a competition like Colombia and you'll say that was the biggest disaster ever, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you look at what you get, the outcome of it, or you might look at European Juniors in the same way, the outcome of that might be, I'm 4 times more mentally resilient than I was before.
Yeah.
In which case it's the most valuable competition and the most valuable money or time or training effort you've ever spent. You know, it's just funny the kind of perception we have at the time is this is the most negative thing ever.
Yeah.
2 years later, suddenly it's the most valuable training experience you've ever had.
Like, especially with that, you know, like, it depends on you internally. Are you going to learn from it, or are you going to just keep on letting it hurt you?
Yeah.
Like, unless if you learn from it, then you can move on and you make sure that it will never happen again, you know. But every athlete has to go through that, has to go through a bad competition to know what it feels like to be hurt and be like, holy shit, I never want to feel that low again. So you train and work hard to never make yourself feel like that. Well, that's me anyways. Sorry, I'm like so aggressive when it comes to mindset. I'm like, that's me.
Yeah, that's good.
So who is coach? How does coach come on the scene?
Yes. So coach, I hate saying his name.
What is it?
Because it's so disrespectful. But his name is Faisal. He's from Malaysia.
Why is it disrespectful to?
I don't know. It's more of an Asian thing. If you meet somebody and he's your coach, you call them coach.
Okay.
Remember we were talking about respect. It's all got to do with respect in the Asian cultures. It would be probably a bit frowned upon if I called you by like Owen only and not be like Uncle Owen or so. I don't know, you know. But I only call him coach out of respect that I don't want to call him like just Faisal. He's from Malaysia. So I found him through my brother.
Okay.
Isn't this such a coincidence? the universe again. My brother's coach, I told my brother, and I told my brother's coach that I was looking for a Olympic coach, and he says, I'll get back to you. And then the next couple of days he really did get back to me.
That's crazy.
And then I flew coach over. It was supposed to be just a 1 month thing, and then after 2 weeks I was like, you can't go home. I was like, I'm sorry, you just can't go home. And obviously we had to talk about contracts and wages and everything like that. So I said, like, I obviously mark him in the situation, and I was like, right, will we do this? Yes or no? And the thing with me is, if I do something, I give it 110%. I don't do things by half-arsed. So like, I went all in without even knowing the results of having a medal. I didn't know anything, but I went all in the start. Yeah.
Thammy, maybe just for a second, you mentioned your brother there. For some people listening to this, they might know that your brother's also an elite athlete.
Yes.
Can you give us some background?
Oh, right. Talking about my little brother. My little brother, his name's Nat. He's a badminton player. He's been to the Olympics and he won bronze at the Junior Euros. He's won medals in the European stage before. So I have watched him growing up since he's 6 years old, from being 0 to an elite athlete, going into a system on Badminton Ireland that they have. So I watched him, the way what he does, how he breast eats, his mentality, what it took him to get to the Olympics. So I kind of just copy and paste that a little bit to me. Yeah.
When you were growing up, was there like severe sibling rivalry?
No, I'm just so competitive. I said to him not at all. I said to him last night, so he's going to the World Championships now, and I said, make sure you get a good placing in that, because I'm going to beat you. And he was like, will you just shut the fuck up? Like, I'm like, yeah, if you come like 19th, I'm going to come 15th. So I'm waiting to see what his result is, but hopefully that it pushes him to do better, because there's nothing worse when you're rivalry against family.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
Free. Yeah.
nothing more close to the heart than someone just edging it out.
Exactly, yes.
So Thammy, what was sport like for you when you were younger?
For me, growing up, I was always involved in the sports. I did Irish dancing and a lot of different sports, but I never found my sport. I was told to join gymnastics, and I'm a bit gutted I didn't get to do gymnastics. I knew I would probably be really good at it because I'm small. We couldn't afford a car, so I could never go to gymnastics class then. I did Irish dancing, camogie, everything like that growing up, but I never had that sport belonging to me like my brother had badminton. So I always was interested to go to the gym normally, like the commercial gym. And I was just kind of copying on what people did. They were deadlifting and I was deadlifting, but I say my back was like this. And I was squatting, hadn't a clue what I was doing, but I was still double bodyweight squatting.
Nice.
I think about 40 kilos and I was squatting 80 kilos. But I didn't know what was going on. And I remember a man coming up to me and goes, holy shit, you're fucking strong. I'm like, but I would see a girl in the gym squatting 70 kilos. I'm like, I'm going to squat 75. But that's just me, like, trying to make competitions to push myself a bit harder.
And how did weightlifting start then?
Weightlifting started when I was going to the gym, and it kind of got to the point I'm like, right, okay, I'm getting bored of this shit now. I'm doing the same thing over and over, squatting this and that again. So I said that I looked up a CrossFit gym because I seen a girl, she had like abs, and I was like, oh my God, that girl, the girl who had the abs. So I messaged her, said, what did you do? She said she did CrossFit. So then I looked up the local CrossFit gym. I ended up going to CrossFit DSC in Finglas. I walked in first, and the first introduction, he did snatch. He showed me how to do a snatch. The thing with me is, you show me something, I get it straight away. He showed me snatch, and I go, is this it? And I snatch, and he goes, holy shit, you're really good. And I was like, what? And then this is a snatch there. And then he was like, you're really strong as well. So I think I was called like Pocket Rockets or something like that when I first started, yeah. And then one of my first ever coach was Warren Campion. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know him.
He kind of more into the CrossFit, but he would know a small bit of technical, got to do weightlifting. And he said to me, you should do a weightlifting competition. And I was like, what is a weightlifting competition? And then me being nosy, I looked up the national records and this, and I goes, I can fucking do that. So I remember, I think my first ever competition, I went in and I think I qualified for Junior Euros.
Where was that? What year was
In
that?
Capital, and I think it was 2014.
Oh, that's Cyprus, was it? Or
Junior Euros was Lithuania, I think so. Yeah, I can't read. I think you went a couple of years before me.
yeah, I went the year before that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it was back then. Yeah.
So first ever competition, and you qualify for Junior Euros.
Yeah.
How were your parents feeling about this at the time?
Oh gosh, they go to me like, weightlifting is not a female sport. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know, I just like it. I just have an interest in it. And my mum was like, please be careful. I did come home with like, you know, like really swollen collarbones, and she was like, what are you doing to yourself? I'm like, I just love it so much.
Yeah.
I don't really know why, but yeah, that's how I got involved into weightlifting. Yeah, but my parents now, they are really, really supporting me because they know how much effort and time I'm given to the sport, and they try help as much as they can with the kids, especially.
Are your parents close by to you?
Oh yeah, 5 doors down the road.
Great. Yeah.
Walk across the road, drop the kids, and then go to training.
Class.
Am I right in saying you used to work a little bit for your parents when you were younger?
Yes. So I had to grow up like really quickly and fast. So by the age of 15, I was managing a Chinese.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But to me,
Going to school.
Sorry?
While going to school.
While going to school, yes. I like in this moment right now, I didn't really know what was going on back then, but I was just told to do it. My parents don't speak English. Unfortunately, if they don't speak English, what can I do? I was always a translator in the house, so I was the bigger person basically. Yeah, so they told me I had to manage it, so I had to manage it.
That's crazy. What age did that start?
They opened the Chinese over when I was turning 15.
Okay.
So yeah, my first experience of really working was when I was 15, non-stop. Had no choice. Like this is a come back to Asian culture there again. If your mom says something, you fucking do it.
Okay.
There is no like am I allowed to curse here?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because the last time I was allowed to curse, I was like,
No, not arse away. Sweet mad.
but yeah, I have a lot of respect for my parents. Obviously coming back down to like, you know, family orientated, everything like that. I'm very family orientated. Have a lot of respect for my parents. If my parents tell me something, I always respect them in every ways, because obviously they've raised me to be the person I am now. So yeah, if they told me to do that, I would do it. Yeah.
And were you always translating as you were younger before that?
So probably since I first came over here when I was 6.
Okay. Oh my God.
I had a really weird growing up past, like I probably fucked up. Not fucked up. Sorry, that's probably a strong word to say.
Full
like,
on maybe.
Yeah, full on. But what I experienced from a child growing up was possibly a person in their 20s moving to their 30s.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Probably what you're going through right now.
Yeah.
But I experienced all that as I was growing up. Yeah. My parents didn't know English. First came out with my dad. They didn't know English. And I remember I didn't know English myself, but I still had to translate.
How did you learn English?
Keep on talking.
That's crazy.
The funny thing is, when I first came here to Ireland, I had 0 word of English.
And you just picked up on it.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So what did you do when you were all here and no one speaking English?
I don't know.
That is mad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's like, do you know the way you went to Tokyo, Japan?
Yeah.
That's like a new culture to you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it was like me from an Asian culture coming over to here is so different. You going back over there is so different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the complete opposite. Like,
The big difference is now we went there as adults and we had Google Translate.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Google Translate. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Do you feel like that intensity has made you, or
Yes,
kind of
absolutely.
burdened you into kind of what you are at the moment?
Yes, 1000%. If I hadn't have gone through what I did as younger, like I can't really explain the hardship that I've been through since I was younger, like since I was 6. Sorry, I get really like talking about my past. I don't know where to start. Basically, like,
Did you realise it at the time? Were you ever
no.
like, this is
Again, I felt numb, not knowing what's going on. So let's give you an in-depth of my past, and you probably need to give me a bit of time because this really, I don't really talk about this, and this really gets me personally. But I wanted to share my story, and not a lot of people know my story. They think this girl has 2 kids, married, has all the businesses, she has a nice car, home, this and that. I worked hard every fucking day to earn that, and that all comes back because I never had anything growing up, and obviously that's going through hardship. So when I first came over here, it was myself and my dad, and sorry, you just have to give me time with this.
Absolutely.
So when I first came over here with my dad, we didn't have a lot of things. I think we were moved around a lot. I say every month we were living different houses, different apartments to kind of get the most cheapest rent. I didn't really know what was going on, but I just had to follow. My dad didn't know English. I didn't know English. Had to translate. My dad has 2-3 jobs, and he works morning, noon, and night.
Jeez.
And me, as a 6-7-year-old, I had to mind myself back in the apartment or where I was, watching. Sorry. Can I have a tissue?
Yeah, absolutely.
Watching. We had a CD of like Snow White, and I watched that over and over and over again. And I didn't really know what was going on, but at that time, I just had to keep going.
Wow.
And I remember I was really lonely, and there was no phones back then. Like, you know the way you have phones now and you're on your phone?
Yep.
So I was like sitting in the house just watching Snow White over and over and over again. And I didn't really know what was going on. But it was a tough time. My dad couldn't afford a car. And I think he was cycling everywhere. I remember we couldn't afford for clothes. We couldn't afford for food. And my only treat ever, did you ever see them? Mini Kit Kat bars.
Yes. Yeah.
That was my only ever treat. Like, this is why, like, I don't speak about this often. And when I do, I get really, like, upset about it because I was really upset back then as a kid. But I never, ever would resemble my, like, that's how I resent
Yeah.
my parents, because I'm grateful that I'm living in a new country, basically. So I never had anything. And then I remember one day he was cycling on a bike. It was fucking lashing rain now. You know the way Ireland, there was lashing rain now. I was drenched. Couldn't afford a raincoat. I was wearing the same jacket for like weeks and weeks. I remember looking at a person next to me in the car, and I looked and I was like, I wish one day we had a car. But I said, like, I wish one day we had a car, and I felt how my dad was like hurting because he was trying to give me a new life, you know. And I said, I never want my kids to be like this. But I never would like resent my parents for making me feel like this, no ever way. But I will never make my kids like this, basically. So I worked hard every single day to make sure that my family, there's always a full fridge all the fucking time. You go to my house, there's always a full fridge. You like for whatever you want for dinner, to make sure that you have it for dinner. I worked hard to earn, even like to this gym here, like I worked hard for it, but all because I never had anything growing up, never. And that's my story. That's how I became so successful. But I wouldn't call it so successful.
I would call it successful.
Would you call it so?
Absolutely.
I don't. Are you crying?
No, you better hold still.
But like I never had anything, so that's why I'm so aggressive, and I know what it takes to get to somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Do you think when you think of your kids growing up, and are you thinking about the balance between giving them a really fruitful kind of life, or do you think about, you see how you've turned out with some hardship, do you think about how you'd balance that with them?
Yeah, they still go to Vietnam now. I dress my kids in the ugliest clothes. I believe it or not, I don't dress them in the best of the best clothes. I don't do that. They always have odd shoes on or something like that. And baby Mark wears Lily's clothes, and they don't dress or being treated in any way as they come from, like they have money or anything like that. And I teach them, even to this now, if Lily wants something in the shop, I literally tell her, Mommy has no money. And that's what my dad told me. And she didn't really understand it at the start. So she's like, what's money? So I'm trying to explain her now. This is only a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
But 4-year-old is going to demand things of you all the time. They will throw tantrums when you're at Tesco just to get something. But I just walk away and I tell them, Mommy has no money. And she's like, why, what's money? And I have obviously drilled into them now, you have to work in order for you to get money. So Mommy is going to training now to work to get money. And then when we, after finish working the end of the week, or when we have more money, then you get a treat.
Oh, okay. I like that, yeah.
So I'm teaching her now. So even the likes of, I know this is only a little kid, but if she tidies up her toys, we're like, look, if you start working now, tidy up your toys, you give you €1, you know, and she tidies up her toys straight away, and she knows when the ice cream man is going to come. So there's one day when the ice cream man came and she's like, Mommy, I want money. I'm like, I have no money. You didn't tidy up your toys today. So she says like, oh, okay. So I goes, look, you tidy your toys tomorrow. I will give you €1 and then you can get your ice cream. But it's probably be a bit much for a 4-year-old, but you kind of have to tell them that it's just not given to you, you know? So that's the way I believe it. So
you're kind of making it into more relatable situations for them, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And they go back to Vietnam, and obviously like when you go back to Vietnam, you're going to see like the worst of everything. Like, you know, not a lot of people is poverty. So they actually see that going back to Vietnam already. They don't just see all the luxuries over here.
I think about when I'm younger, I had a pretty great childhood. You know, I worked on a farm, I drilled the rudders, but, you know, I had, in comparison to what you experienced, mine was like the best childhood ever, you know. And it's funny when you're a child, you're like, oh, that's terrible. I'd be, I don't know, feeding calves or something, you know. But in reality, it's like, it's unbelievable, you know. Yeah. Now I'm trying to figure out my own kids that, like, how can I recreate the good parts of that, you know?
Yeah, like coming from a parent to a parent, I have always, sorry, Dara's like, what is this?
You'll know soon.
Yeah. Coming from a parent to a parent, and I have asked my parents this, they says, it doesn't matter what your kids want to do, you just have to make sure you support them, number one. Always be there for them. And you don't know what the future will hold.
Yeah.
But as long as monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
If you smoke, your kids are probably going to end up smoking. If you drink, your kids are probably drinking. If you train all the time, they're probably going to go into training with you. They copy exactly the same. Like, so I'm exactly the same boat as you, but I try to be the best mother that I could be and always happy to them. So they're always happy as well. And one definitely thing is, I make sure manners are drilled into them. Thank you, please, everything like that, because you can't buy that anywhere.
Yeah.
I would slap the shit out of my kids if they're like, you know, not saying thank you. But even now, like my 2-year-old walking out of the door, seeing my neighbour, first thing he does is, hi.
Yeah.
That's just because you have drilled that into your kids. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Like, now it's just second nature to him to say hello to everybody else first. But that just comes with Asian culture again. Yeah.
We were only talking about that on the way down about your parents not pushing you. You know, I was saying my father never cared what we did as long as it wasn't something in trouble, but not in a negligent way. It was like a very supportive,
100%.
free way. You know, like we were never pushed to do anything. But at the same time, I remember seeing all my brothers and my father and my mother working really hard all the time.
Yeah.
So I remember at points where I was like, Jesus, am I really lazy?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing as much things as they were doing, you know?
Yeah, of course, like if you're, you know, I can only relate to my life and everyone has their own story to theirs, to get me. But me seeing my mum and dad work so hard, I still this day want to get them out of retirement. I want to find a way that I'm like, here, ma'am, here's money. Just please stop working as Chinese 7 days a week. I still want that. I want to take my parents out of retirement and give them an opportunity. They're still working their ass off 7 days a week. Well, I mind my kids out during the day and then working in the Chinese till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm trying to, hopefully after this comes a way that I can take them out of retirement. Do you ever hear that story of people that are like, here's 100 grand, here's your mortgage being paid.
Yeah.
I want to do that to my parents. But I want to do that, but I don't know when I'm going to do that. So I want to let the universe
Let it come around again.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Possibly, maybe I qualify for the Olympics and be the first person to qualify for the Olympics. I get this massive paycheck or whatever, and that's got to go to my parents, and that probably would buy them out the Chinese.
Amazing.
That's one of my goals, is to buy them out as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely unreal. So, Thammy, talking about working hard, I think an aspect we haven't talked about yet is the fact that you're a very successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And the businesses you have.
Kind of successful.
This is yet again underplayed. But can you talk to us about like the businesses you've had, what the businesses you're running now are?
So I have Thammy Lash, which is we do eyelashes in the salon. We have CrossFit Baldoyle, which obviously we're in the location here. That's a CrossFit gym. And also we own Complex Wear, which is Complex here, which is the clothing range. So at the moment now, I'm a full-time athlete. I can only be where I could at a certain day and certain time. So Complex to me now, I'm just kind of, still have the stock there and I have the old range, and that's still kind of going by itself. I'm waiting till I'm finishing the qualifiers to be able to put all my time and effort into that, and I'm gonna literally bring out a complete new range and complete like rebranding all together. Thammy Lash is what you call it, bread and butter, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's my baby. I started off when I was 20, and I literally, we were one of the first ever salons to start doing eyelashes, and we still are. And I teach courses with that still. That business is really, really successful. And the second, obviously the third tier is CrossFit Baldoyle. We're based in Baldoyle, obviously, and it's a CrossFit gym ran. We have coaches to work for us. We don't have to work in here. Great members. Everyone's great. Honestly, like I feel like I'm very grounded, and I have I'm full of gratitude that this opportunity was given to me. I'm honored. Sorry. Are you getting emotional?
No, that's...
Are you getting emotional about it?
Impressive, yeah.
Is it? And I'm 26, by the way.
We need to set up 3 more businesses.
No, you don't. I have to set up 3 more businesses, but like I have goals and I love setting tasks out and reaching goals. It's like a complete dopamine release effect that you're addicted to that reaching a goal. I have a goal every single day coming into training. If I don't reach that goal, that annoys the shit out of me. So I had that goal of that 80 push press today, and I was going for that 80 push press without coach even knowing or not.
It's funny, as you were warming up, you're like, yeah, it's 75. And then you didn't say anything. And then I was like, that's definitely 80 kilos. And you did it. And you were like, yeah, no, I'm delighted because that was 80 and not 75.
Yeah. Yeah. So like coach gives me the program on what I should be doing, but I'm always doing more because I believe that. So obviously sometimes less is more, but at the phase that I'm in there now, I am pushing for numbers all the time. I'm not competing with people in nationals in Ireland. I'm competing with people that are in training centres. I don't know what they're doing. So I can roughly, like if coach says to me like 90 kilos, I'll push for 95 because they're probably that's what they're doing over in their country. And I should be doing that as well. That's the way I think, yeah.
What, on the specifics of weightlifting, what kind of stuff has coach working on at the moment for you? What are you kind of focusing on in terms of technique first?
So strength, I've always had strength. My strength is so high. It's up to where nearly it's top 10 are right now. Can't give you numbers, but I know where my numbers are now. In the likes of strength, my only lack in is movement, because I took a bit of time out. My movement, kind of forgotten about the movement, and lately in training, I have finally ticked that box in the movement. My worst movement is the snatch, and something just clicked. Mm-hmm. Obviously it takes time to click, and I go, I think I have a coach. And so I finally figured out that snatch movement. I was always doing it before, but now I really know how to do it. So if I can tap into my strength and put that movement together, just give me a bit more time, that's gonna literally go up to something, Yeah, so that's coach has been working on me, but there's a lot more to it. Like, he's built my strength up so as well. So firstly, he believed that you're not going to go anywhere without strength. So obviously my squat and pulls has to go up really, really high. And yeah, like just raw natural strength, I had to build that up first. Speed and explosive comes afterwards then. So we worked on that. And then, yeah, now, so just trying to combine both of that together, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thammy, where's the best place if people want to watch you training, if they want to see what you're up to?
So I train in CrossFit Baldoyle in my own gym, and I'm not as active on social media as I should be. I'm trying to be now. My my agent keeps on saying, like, you have to keep it loading more. But I'm mostly active in CrossFit Baldoyle, and you can catch me. Is it catch me? You can get me on Instagram most of the times. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thammy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Guys, I'm so grateful that you guys have given me this opportunity to, tell my story.
No, you've earned this with you put it on the line. One of the big things we wanted to get was the self-made aspect, because as hard as it is to be an athlete in somewhere like maybe Kazakhstan or China, where it's incredibly competitive, and your position is on the line all the time, you're still in a very well-oiled, well-funded system.
Yeah.
And everything is handed to you, you know. Whereas you put yourself in that situation
Yeah.
entirely by yourself, you know, in terms of the direction. And obviously you have a good support network like you talked about, but you are
Self-funded, everything.
funded.
Yeah.
No funding from Weightlifting Ireland or the Sports Council. I know you've got some now,
Yeah.
but you didn't have now. It's like it's a pat in the back after. If you never, you would have. The idea of getting there without funding is crazy. You know, it's getting funding after you got there is kind of stupid, because how would you ever get there without that funding? You know, and the fact that you did it is a bit of a miracle. It's the reason you're the first senior medalist in Weightlifting Ireland.
Yeah. And the thing is, my coach has told me over and over that nothing is impossible. Let's remove me and let's not talk about like in my situation now. But he's like, you come back from weightlifting after 2 kids, 3 years out, you went out the first Olympic qualifiers and got a fucking medal. And he goes, like, if you believe like nothing is impossible, just try believe that. You know, like nothing is impossible. If you believe like, oh my God, that's impossible to do, well then you're not going to do it. So part of all the reason my coach is like, you know, has drilled it into me and my mentality, you know, trying to get that champion's mentality into me over and over and over again. But yeah, like I'm very grateful that you guys have given me obviously to tell my story, and like obviously hopefully I get more fans, you know, when I cross, like, and they like me for me. You know, the way some people have a really lovely snatch and lovely clean and jerk, and they're so aggressive and they're so powerful. But I want people to love me and know me as a lifter for me. Not, I know, like obviously with strength and clean and jerk and snatch and all that, but I can resemble in their life in some way, you know, in that character way.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Thammy.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.